let's tackle a huge question today. I mean, a really huge one. What makes a life valuable? It's something people have wrestled with forever, but what if there was a simpler, more practical way to think about it? Let's dive in and explore that idea. So, let's just start with a quick thought experiment. Imagine this. Someone comes to you and offers you all the wealth in the world. Every single dollar, every piece of gold, everything. But there's a catch. In exchange, you have to give up your life. Would you take that deal? My guess is probably not. And that instant refusal, that gut reaction, it tells us something really profound. We instinctively feel our lives have a value that money just can't touch, an inherent worth that has absolutely nothing to do with what we own. So, if we aren't just born with this value, where does it come from? Well, the idea here is that we actually build it. Think of yourself as an architect of your own life. It's not some pre-written story, it's a structure you build, one choice at a time. Every single decision, every action is another brick you're laying in the foundation of the person you are becoming. Okay, so to understand what we can build, we first have to look at the raw materials we're working with. And that means getting a handle on the fundamental dualistic nature that exists inside every single one of us. At the core of this whole thing is duality. But listen, this isn't your simple good versus evil story. Not at all. It's about two fundamental forces that exist in all of us. One that pulls us toward order and stability, and another that pushes us toward chaos and change. You could almost say that our entire life is just the story of navigating the tension between these two powerful energies. Let's break these forces down a bit. On one side, you've got the divine. This is our drive for order. It's the part of us that creates rules, builds societies, and wants predictability. Then, on the other side, you have the demonic. This is the engine of chaos, impulse, and raw ambition. It's that part of us that wants to break the rules and push boundaries. And the key thing to get here is that neither one is good or bad. They're just the raw energies we have to learn to manage. Okay, so we have these raw materials. How do we shape them into something valuable? Let's use a really powerful metaphor to make this idea tangible. I want you to think of people as stones. This quote really just nails it. Just like not all rocks are the same, this idea suggests that people start with different levels of potential. Some of us might be like common stones, while others have the latent potential to become a flawless diamond. But crucially, it's a spectrum, and where you are on it isn't set in stone, so to speak. You know, in geology, we use these objective scales to measure gemstones, like the Mohs scale for hardness. A diamond is a perfect 10, while a common rock is way softer. It gives us a really clear way to define value. So the big question is, what if we applied that same kind of framework to human character? So here's how the analogy maps out. A gemstone's hardness, its resistance to being scratched, is like our willpower and our resilience. Its clarity and its luster, well, that represents our knowledge and our wisdom. And its purity of color is a stand-in for our morality and integrity. The critical insight here is this. A person of high value isn't just born that way. They have actively cultivated these internal qualities. Now, as we're working on building ourselves up, increasing our metaphorical hardness and clarity, there's a universal law that we all have to confront. A law that governs everything, including our own growth. And that's the law of limits. I mean, think about it. A tree doesn't just grow up to the sky. An empire doesn't expand forever. Every single system in nature, from a tiny plant to a giant star to a human life, follows this arc. There's a time for growth, a time of peak performance, and then an inevitable time of decline. And accepting this isn't pessimistic, it's wise. It allows us to have realistic expectations for ourselves and for others. Every life follows these stages. First, there's development, right? That's where we learn and we grow. Then we hit a peak, the height of our career, our influence, our abilities, and then inevitably, after the peak comes a decline. But it's so crucial to see that this decline is not failure. It's a natural transformation, a necessary part of the cycle that actually makes way for new things to grow. So, we understand our dual nature. We've got the potential to build our character like a gemstone, and we know about the natural limits of life. All of this leads to one final critical choice that defines the entire meaning of our existence. So we're presented with two fundamental paths. The first is what we can call the mountain of value, a journey totally focused on cultivating internal qualities like wisdom and integrity. This is a life dedicated to becoming more. The second path is the beach of possessions, a journey focused on acquiring external things like wealth and status. This is a life dedicated to having more. So the question becomes, which journey are you really on? And this, right here, this is the ultimate takeaway. It's not about whether you succeed in becoming that perfect diamond. It's not about the destination at all. The true meaning of your life, the ultimate value, is found in the path you consciously choose to walk every single day. The meaning is in the effort, in the climb up that mountain of value, no matter how high you get. So we end right back where we began, with a question. Only this time, it's not hypothetical. It's about the real choices you face every day. After exploring all these ideas, which path are you choosing to walk? And where? Where will that path lead you?